You're listening to The Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 app.
Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles. Here's Eddie Garcia.
Night 2 of the NBA had 10 games on the schedule, including the Bucks beating the 76ers on the road 124-109. Damian Lillard had 30 points. Giannis Antetokounmpo 25 points and 14 rebounds in the win. Philadelphia did not have stars Joel Embiid or Paul George, both out due to injury. Suns beat the Clippers in LA 116-113 in overtime. Kevin Durant 25 points. Bradley Beal 24 points in the win for Phoenix. Grizzlies down the Jazz in Utah 126-124. Ja Morant for Memphis in his return. 22 points and 10 assists. Warriors over the Trailblazers in Portland, 139-104. Golden State Steph Curry, a near triple-double, 17 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds. Hawks over the Nets, 120-116. Pelicans without Zion Williamson, who had an illness, beat the Bulls 123-111. Cavaliers down the Raptors, 136-106. Magic beat the Heat 116-97. Pacers over the Pistons, 115-109. Hornets over the Rockets, 110-105.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to recruit you, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. Today's playbook, we have recruiting. Georgia back on top. Still got to talk about the officiating. Can Bama fix things? The SEC in general, Bama hoops. And we're going to also talk about some of C.J. Dupree's statements from the other day, but kick it over to you.
All right. Welcome into the program. We're so glad that you got up and at 'em with us on this Thursday morning. Hopefully we can continue to meet your expectations as a program. We definitely appreciate your support, but I would ask that if you're a follower of us on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, X, man, share us with your network. If you listen to us on the app, let people know about the app because all of that matters and it helps us grow our influence in our station. And of course, we love this, but we do it to make a little money. And so we appreciate you helping us continue to grow our network and our influence. So thank you so much for joining us on the home for Alabama Sports Tide, 100.9, 1230 a.m. and the Martin Houston Radio Network. So glad to have you. We do this each and every day because we have great sponsors. Thanks to you, we're able to get them, and Box Eye Care powers us each and every day. Box Eye Care, boxeyecare.com, Vision Care, that's leading the way in Tuscaloosa, West Alabama. They have a new location down on Oscar Baxter Drive. You can go in and check them out. Get all of your vision care needs, and including laser eye surgery. Go to boxeyecare.com and see all the other great services you have. And when you get that appointment set and you go in, you're going to be blown away with the new space. They have a great new lab that is in-house now, so they can take care of you right there on site. That's Box Eye Care, boxeyecare.com. Remember this: trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. And man, it's been a rough week for the Crimson Tide. Been a rough week for Jalen Milroe and others. Will the Tide right the ship? We'll talk about it today. Do we need to assess this Alabama roster in more depth, or do we just want to look at how many stars are on the roster? Well, you tell us, and we'll agree or disagree. 205-342-9904. That's the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions hotline. We speak, we train, we coach, and we do all of that to help you solve the problems that you face in your organization, whether it's turnover, team culture, team building, loss of sales, etc. That's Empowerment Strategies and Solutions. All right, X, let's get this thing rolling. Roll Tide this morning.
All right. As we kick it off, of course, we got some recruiting news. Alabama adds another commitment to the number 2 class in the country, and that is 4-star tight end Marshall Pritchett out of Georgia. He's the number 15 tight end in the country, number 222 player overall. Big get for Bama. Second tight end in this class behind Caleb Edwards. This guy is probably more of a flex tight end than an inline tight end. Similar build to what Caleb Odom had last year coming out, who was originally going to play tight end for Bama. 6'4", 211 pounds. His dad, Wes Pritchett, was a linebacker at Notre Dame, was the leading tackler on Notre Dame's last national championship team in '88, played in the NFL for a few teams. So he's got the pedigree. Absolute playmaker.
Let me ask you this. Is this a CYA type of commitment too, with the fact that Caleb Odom is one of those who went out on social. He talked about being committed, and that he was with the Tide all the way. But the first sign of adversity, he was one of the ones that went out. He's the low man on the totem pole of all the guys that play. Not being ugly. I mean, it's an honor to get on the field as a true freshman at the University of Alabama. But he is the low man on the totem pole when you look at the wide receiver room. And He was the one who complained about getting the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. That's a good question. We all understand Caleb Odom is really talented, but
is he really talented at the position he's playing right now? Is he really talented?
Caleb Odom, he was coming into college to play tight end, but he was a wide receiver in high school. So it's the position. I get what you're saying. Would it have been smarter for him to be a tight end at this next level, get a little bigger, get a little stronger? He's already 230 pounds.
No, I guess what I'm saying, though, X, is he was going to be a tight end. Why were they going to put him at a tight end? Because he was probably not as elusive a route runner. Not, you know what I mean? Like they Alabama saving them probably thought, okay, this guy can run good routes. This guy can beef up, and he'll be a mismatch nightmare. At wide receiver, he's probably having to learn how to play and run routes and be really good, because that's like me in high school. I was a tailback in high school. And if I came to Alabama, I could have played tailback and could have ran the ball. But there was other parts of the tailback game that I would have had to get better at. And that's what I'm saying is I think Caleb Odom has the potential to be an extremely talented wide receiver. but I don't see him blowing by people, getting off. He should we be using him in the end zone? Maybe.
Yeah.
End zone? Maybe. I guess what I'm saying is talent and being ready to execute at 18 doesn't always equal the same thing. And I think he's going to go into the position if he doesn't mess himself up. I hope he doesn't mess himself up by jumping ship. And he hasn't said he would, but it was just tacky what he did.
Yeah. It's one of those things where he could be a great wide receiver. He could be a great tight end. Maybe that's something that's a conversation. Heck, because once again, he's 6'5". He's already 230 pounds. Put another 10 pounds on him, put his hand in the dirt, have him line up and be guarded versus linebackers and safeties rather than 4-3 corners. Just one of those things. But we got Pat who wants to get on the recruiting conversation, and he's joining us on the Empowerment Strategy Solutions Hotline. How you doing this morning, Pat?
Good morning, X. Is Henry as good as advertised? That I'm hearing, and another question to go along with Henry. Are we going to get Justice Terry?
Yes, Derrick Henry is the best running back in the NFL.
Do what now?
Yes, Derrick Henry is the best running back in the NFL.
No. I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, Mark Houston. I'm talking about how the number one, the number one edge rusher out of JUCO.
Yes, Pat. I know what you're talking about. My listening audience may not.
I'm sorry. I should have gone further and deeper into the conversation.
Yeah. Now they know what you're talking about, Pat. The number one edge rusher in JUCO. All right. Now you and Xavier continue.
Cavante here. He's pretty good from what I've seen. It's interesting because he's 240 right now, and I don't know if they're going to try to beef him up or not. If he stays at 240, he'll be a wolf, and I think he'd be a really good one. If he puts weight on, how does that affect his ability if they move him to bandit? That's kind of the question.
X and Pat, is this Keon Keeley's replacement?
Keon Keeley, no, Keon Keeley's going to step it up and going to be as good as advertised. But my question is, are we going to get Justice Terry? Because, hey, I want our defensive line to be better than Georgia's.
I don't know. They might just be loading up on defensive linemen, and that's what it looks like. So, I mean,
hey,
Justice Terry,
I'm hearing there's smoke for Justice Terry. Huh?
He was supposed to be at Bama for the Georgia game. He hasn't been back. They haven't heard any reports of him coming back. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like he's a ghost right now. And man, how exciting that would be to have him added to this class. Wow. And hey, you guys, I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I appreciate you taking the call.
As you go, I will tell you, you know what Justin Terry is doing?
Oh, working on NIL money.
It's called negotiation. Have a good one. Hey, listen, these young guys, some of them have already learned. Blind Squirrel Sports said he believes Justice Terry will go to Georgia. He very well might. But the fact that Georgia's probably working to get him to cancel that visit to Alabama, which means that they may have to pony up some money, right? So either Alabama, either he's bumping up his deal to come to Alabama, or by just keeping it out there in the stratosphere of he might or might not, it gets him more money with Georgia. So either way, he's going to win most likely. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Coming back on the other side, we'll keep the conversation rolling. Xavier will wrap up the recruiting conversation. Of course, you can always get in on the Empowerment Strategy and Solutions hotline. And as we go to break here, I want to give you an update on Live to Lead. Live to Lead is a conference that I'm bringing to Tuscaloosa. Due to several things, I've had to move the date, which is good news. It's going to actually give you more time to plan and be a part of it. We're going to kick it into 2025. So save the date, February 20th, 2025. We'll still have the same great speakers, and we'll have a little bit more added to it. May even have a virtual option as well. But you can still go to martinhouston.org / Live to Lead and go ahead and still secure your ticket or your table. You can see that there is $70 individual ticket, or $50 if you buy a table, or a table for a total of $400. That's Live to Lead, martinhouston.org / live, the number 2 lead, Live to Lead. We'll be back on the other side to keep it rolling.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Happy Thursday to you. We're moving right along on the Tuscaloosa freeways and side streets. It is the construction zone hour. Well, every hour is that. So we do have that specifically on Skyland between Clearview Hills and Pleasant Hill Drive. Railroad bridge work.
Visit us now to save big and discover why so many are switching to BMW. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Got timberland in West Alabama or East Mississippi? North River Timber Company has you covered. Since 2011, Courtney White, a registered forester, along with his expert team, have been managing timberland and harvesting timber across 4 West Alabama counties. They offer comprehensive timber management plans, reforestation services, and appraisals. Courtney White says timber is like money in the bank. Don't let your investment.
Weekend, Fridays at the Free, every Friday during football season with Tide 100.9 and Innisfree Irish Pub, located at 1925 University Boulevard, downtown.
Hey, I'm Martin Houston, and I want to tell you about exciting news happening at Box Eye Care. They moved to their new location, bringing you a brand new lab, stylish new frames, and a fresh look just for you. Enjoy their expanded frame inventory, competitive prices, and faster service, all with the same great level of service you've come to know and trust. Discover this full-service eye care at Box Eye Care's new location. With their in-house lab, they offer unbeatable value and one of the largest frame collections in town. Schedule your eye exam today and walk out with new glasses in less than an hour in most cases. Visit boxeyecare.com. That's boxeyecare.com, or call 205-342-0660. That's 205-342-0660. Visit them at 5003 Oscar Baxter Drive. That's Box Eye Care. Your vision, our priority.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Welcome back in to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Continuing the recruiting conversation, I think it's really interesting. People have had this conversation about, the sky is falling and things of that nature. And Coach DeBoer still has the number 2 class in the country. Not only does he have the number 2 class in the country, they are like 1 point something total points behind Ohio State that has 26 commits, while Alabama only has 23. So he's still able to get guys to commit to this team and their high-level guys, and you're looking at it going, well, remember, Saban went 7-6 and had the number 1 or number 2 class in the country. So people just stay calm, understand that things are going to be okay at the end of the day. This coaching staff is going to get their guys in, and they're going to be able to mold this team completely into the way that they want. Everybody forgets. Now, the talent level is different between Alabama in 07 and 24. Because Saban had to get rid of some guys from the old regime for things to work out. those seniors on that 2009 team that won the first national championship, those juniors on that team were the foundational guys because they were young and they were willing to be molded and different in what that team needed to be successful. So give Coach DeBoer and this staff time because they're still bringing in talent.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point, X, and I've said this numerous times. Saban had one class up until the 2020 class, and like I said, I always put an asterisk beside it, not from how good the team was, just from the type of season it was. It was chaotic and all of that, and Saban just out-processed everybody, especially down the stretch. I think we were the best team in college football that year, but we also didn't play the other teams at their top. But age matters and buy-in matters, and I think that the younger guys that came in with Saban were all bought in. His recruiting class, his first recruiting class, and then his second recruiting class was bought in. But the leadership from the guys who were juniors and seniors when they won it in 2009 were guys who had just played a lot of football and had learned through adversity. X. They had been a 10-2 team or 10-3 team and then a 6-7 team. What DeBoer inherited was a bunch of guys who have won a lot of football games. Now, the reality of it is everybody talks about how awesome how talented this team is. Do you understand that this senior class, X, they have a distinct thing that they have already accomplished and is about to accomplish another one. They are the only class that has been on this campus for 3 years or longer and don't have a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first class that happened to in the entirety of the Nick Saban era. But I don't hear anybody talking about that. I just hear them, Chase, talking about how talented this roster was, which means that they're looking at where they started, not where they're finishing. And so did these 4 and 5 stars get developed the last 3 years? And someone said, well, that's when I brought up the fact that they're not developed. One person actually put that on DeBoer. He said DeBoer should have developed them because he got the job in January. And I'm like, you understand this man had to hire an entire coaching staff, no coach has ever been through what he went through, to be the last guy, one of the last guys hired, to have the most talented roster that was poached by the NCAA. The stupidity of opening up one roster in the rest of the country can target that roster is it's going to kill any great program that loses a coach unless they do it early. And he managed to pull guys and hold guys. But still, as Saban said, 26 guys, whatever the number was, that left, he still did a great job. And I still think they had the potential to do a great job. I do think that they need to change some things and adjust some things. But, I want to just remind Alabama fans that if Nick Saban was coaching this team, it would have been the first time in the Nick Saban coaching era at Alabama that he would have been coaching a senior class, a group of recruits that had been on the campus 4 years and didn't have a championship to their name.
Yep. So, it is, and to wrap up the recruiting thing, Blind Squirrel Sports says he knows that Georgia is still recruiting Florida State commit wide receiver C.J. Wiley. Is Bama still pursuing him? No, I think Alabama is okay with the two guys that they have in this class. And once again, Pritchett, if he gets on campus, he's a guy that they could go, oh, man, we might need your skill set at wide receiver. Do I think he ends up being a tight end? Yes, because when you look at the fact that Alabama's losing Dupree and Oots once the season's over, I think he'll be a guy that sticks, or they might move Caleb back to tight end if he decides to stick around. But I think Alabama's good with Caleb Cunningham Lazier Brooks as their two true wide receiver commits in this class, and they're going to try to fill some other holes. But we have Jesse.
Before you get to Jesse, I want to say that I don't want to start a rumor, and I don't want X and I to be. Caleb Odom has said nothing about transferring. Okay, so I'm just saying that the young man went to social media to complain, and that's concerning in today's environment of the ease of being able to leave and all of that. You have to understand what that does. It doesn't mean that the young man could have just been immature
and frustrated. And
frustrated. But every coach out there, where is he? What state is he from, Max?
He's from good old state of Georgia.
So do you not think that Kirby Smart saw that and has someone reaching out to him? Do you not think
somebody on that staff saw it? Somebody on that staff saw it.
Right. So there's a whole group of guys. I'm sure if I was in coaching right now, I'd have a guy that searches the rosters, the social media accounts of the rosters that I think have talent. That would be their job, literally. And when I found one that was frustrated, I would keep that in my back pocket so that if that kid goes in the portal, I'm ready. And some would do it even if the kid doesn't go in the portal. I wouldn't cheat, but I'd have my list of guys who have been disgruntled through their social. If you don't really care about the rules, you're already reaching out to Caleb Odom.
Right.
That's what I mean. That's why I say that. The young man has said nothing about leaving. Go to Jesse X.
All right. We have Jesse joining us on the Empowerment Strategy Solutions hotline. Good morning, Jesse.
How's it going, guys?
Good. Hey, Jesse, is this your first time calling?
It is.
Welcome.
Oh, man. Welcome. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Normally don't call because they don't think I got much to offer, but you mentioned officials today and the penalties that we've had. It made me think that the longtime practice official retired a few years ago, and now we've had the penalty problem increase over the last several years.
I didn't know that.
Who are you referring to in retiring?
The practice official that was with Alabama from Bear Bryant all the way up till he retired just a couple years ago.
Yeah. There's still a couple of the older guys who's been out there for quite a while. And I'm drawing a blank on his name. Eddie Conyers.
Yes. I couldn't think of it either. So.
Hey, Jess, if you're like me, I tell people it's not that I always necessarily have a bad memory. I just have a big Rolodex that I have to go through sometimes. But
Eddie, do you think?
Let me ask you this: there's two things, and I'll let you think on this for a second. That could be part of it, but they still have some good guys out there. I still know a few of those guys personally and directly, and one of them has been doing it for probably about as long as Eddie did. He actually was a manager under Coach Bryant, and now he's been out there for a while. But here's another caveat you may not be aware of, Jesse. You know who Steve Shaw is?
Not off the top of my head.
He's over all of college officiating, if I'm not mistaken. I know he is. But sometimes I say stuff and I get cautious. But he was over the SEC officials before he took that job. Guess where he went to school? Alabama. I used to work for him in his full-time job the company worked for. And do you think it's also possible that once he wasn't over the SEC, then maybe we got love or was getting away with stuff, or maybe guys are just because most of these guys are alumni of some SEC school. Like David Smith is one of the top officials in the SEC. He can't call an Alabama game, but if he wasn't a person of integrity, when he's calling an Auburn game or whatever, he could end up calling, just occasionally letting stuff go or whatever. I think the officiating is as bad as it's ever been, and it's getting worse. That's the concern, and that's what we were going to talk about.
Yeah. It happened to hit me this morning while I was listening that he retired a couple years ago, and that's when we started having more and more penalties. I can't blame it on the current coaching staff or anything. Like, it's been an ongoing thing.
Yeah, I think some of it just could be related, and I'll let you respond next. It could be related to how much these guys get to play. I mean, how long they play, and whether we're having to thrust guys in sooner than we would have. And it's and like I said, there's so many like there was I think Jalen played bad Saturday. Jess played bad.
Yeah.
Okay, but he also threw 2 passes to Ryan Williams that Ryan Williams got mugged. That would have been right in stride and touchdowns.
Yeah.
If they call the holding penalty. Like it's amazing what they'll call sometimes on holding, and then they'll miss one where the guy has to fix his jersey back after the play, and they were looking right at it. You can see the official looking at it, and they don't call it. So I just think officiating is bad.
I agree the officiating's bad, but some of the hands to the face thing, like when you're not literally trying to shove a guy by his face, but you accidentally touch his helmet trying to go to block the ball, like there's a difference there.
and all of our roughing the passers this year have been where we absolutely may have tapped the guy. We haven't, but everybody blames it on undiscipline. Not one of our roughing the passers have been because we were late, we targeted, or anything. It's all been swinging at the ball and bring your hand down. But they have been costly.
Very much.
All right, Jesse, we
appreciate you representing out in Kansas. Are you a Bama guy?
Did you
go to school here, or you just became a fan?
Well, I went to high school in Haleyville.
In Haleyville?
It was actually in Lynn, but it's where I went to high school.
Okay.
Just outside of Haleyville. So, but now I live in Kansas. So.
Well, man, we're glad you're ripping out in Kansas, and we appreciate you. Roll Tide out that way, man.
Roll Tide, guys.
Call back anytime, but. Hey, that's Jess from Kansas, and he does bring up a great point, Ax, and we can dig into that a little bit more because I'd like to get your thoughts on officiating and specifically some from this past weekend when we get back on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Happy Thursday to you. We're moving right along on the Tuscaloosa freeways and side streets. It is the construction zone hour. Well, every hour is that. So we do have that specifically on Skyland between Clearview Hills and Pleasant Hill Drive. Railroad
line by going to hims.com. So what are you waiting for?
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy.
Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. They've been doing it the right way each and every day for 50 years and counting. If you're looking for a great option for lunch and or dinner, then you need to check out Taco Casa. Taco Casa, and while you're there, don't forget to get a big glass of that sweet tea. Visit
Doors. It's the Tide Tailgate Show on 95.3 The Bear and Tide 100.9 WTBC 1230. Roll Tide.
Dixie Battery Supply takes care of all of your battery needs. Find the commercial batteries you're after and never feel powerless again. Come check out our Northport and Tuscaloosa locations or call us at 205-758-9190. And once again, power up all your devices by using Dixie Battery Supply, DixieBatterySupply.com. Dixie.com. They offer reconditioned batteries starting at $39.99, and you'll find all the batteries you need. And don't forget to ask us about our golf carts. That's DixieBatterySupply.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Lots of sunshine today. Another unseasonably warm afternoon. The high 84. For tonight, mostly fair with the low at 57. Very warm weather continues tomorrow and Saturday. Lots of sunshine both days. Highs between 83 and 86. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 53 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. Hey, guys, don't forget to get your Legacy collection gear or your officially licensed Martin Houston, Alabama gear. And, hey, listen, it's basketball season. So you can go ahead so you'll be ready to wear that officially licensed Alabama jersey with Legacy across the bottom of that varsity A with the elephant stepping through. You can get it if y'all some of those dudes that like to be showing your stuff on Saturdays and Sundays or at the gym with the young guys. Bust up in there with some Legacy gear, a full uniform, jersey and shorts, and represent the Tide and show them that Alabama's been great in basketball. They're just taking it to the next level now. Got a chance to talk and catch up with, man, what a great win for them against Wake Forest, and didn't have 3 starters, X. So excitement abounds. But should we be jumping off the football ship at this point, X?
Absolutely not. I mean, we've seen Alabama teams in the past go on great runs, and there's nothing telling me that this team can't get the ship together and go on another run. It's not going to be easy. Teams are still gunning for you, but I believe at the end of the day that there's the talent and the coaching knowledge to get this team where they need to be.
Watch this. I got a great question for you guys. Could Alabama sneak up on somebody? Could the fact that Alabama is vulnerable play to their benefit? Because before, you always went into the Alabama game what? Thinking, oh, my God, we better play our best game. And so your focus and your attention to detail was through the roof. Could people underestimate this Alabama team the rest of the year because they lost to Vanderbilt and because they struggled with South Carolina and then they lost to Tennessee?
Yes.
X?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely possible.
Wouldn't that be great?
It would be on par for what we've seen some Alabama teams do in the past. And once again, different coaching staff, but these coaches, most of these coaches have been a part of a staff that went to the national championship game last year. And so I think you just make things happen the way that they need to. And I think it'd be interesting. Chase, you got an opinion on this?
Kind of like conflicted on it, honestly. 'Cause I hear both sides of the table. It's complex, honestly. I don't know. I don't know how to make a comment on it. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Hey, listen, having played the game, Chase, I can tell you, X, you played the game a different level, but like when y'all got ready to play Brookwood, you had a different mindset, And I can remember there was a time when you got ready to play County High, you had a different mindset. But when County High was vulnerable, then you had a different mindset approaching the game. When you thought you had a chance, and it shouldn't be that way, but that's just human nature. And so Alabama used to beat people before they stepped on the field. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. You have to go out and beat Alabama. Now teams think, oh, that's not that big a deal. So they don't put the focus in. And X, one quick question, comment. Virgil Williams, he pointed out that all of the naysayers keep dogging his coaching staff, but the recruits keep saying something different.
Yeah,
by the fact that they keep hitting and flipping and coming.
Right, and that's what I was getting at. You got to give this coaching staff time. Like, love everything Coach Saban did for Alabama, but good night did he spoil us as a fan base. We are the most spoiled. I don't even know the right word. Just ungrateful fan base, I think, in the country, and it's not even close. Maybe I didn't come until almost a decade after Coach Bryant. I don't know what it was like when he retired and Coach Perkins came in, but good night. If y'all run this man off before he gets a real opportunity, we're going to be in the same place that we were before Coach Saban. We might get a championship. We might get a couple of SEC championships. But the fact that y'all are trying to run this dude off after 7 games, I don't want to hear y'all.
Everybody forgets how bad it was. Hey, X, I want us to spend some time on can this team ride it? That was one of the topics you had mentioned that we would hit. But I want us to go to break. Philip called in at the end of the show yesterday, and I had to really rush him. And I mentioned the James Franklin comment about details, and Philip and I had a little bit a difference opinions about what you can and cannot say. And Dupree had called Alabama out. But I want you to hear what James Franklin is saying, the reason they've been close every year, and this year he believes that they can get over the top. And it's not because he got a lot more talent. It's not because he got a lot better coaching staff. It's because he challenged the guys to go from being great to elite. And here's what he had to say. Let me make sure I can find it. All right. Here's what he had to say.
It's all the details. It's all the little things. It's finding a way to overcome adversity consistently. It's, like I said, it's going to class consistently. It's getting to meetings on time. It's having your phone turned off in the meetings. It's not settling for a B in a class when you could have got an A. It's taking notes in every single meeting. Every single meeting. Not because the coaches told you to do it, because you want to be great. It's the coaches making sure that that's the standard. And we don't settle. We don't make excuses. We don't allow it to happen. There is a way to be unbelievably successful in life, in football. That's what we're going to do. And we have let little things slip by. That ain't happening. Because those little things that have slipped by, it's 1 point last year, it's 1 point this year. It's not happening anymore. It's not happening anymore. You guys thought I was a psychopath in the past? You have no idea. And I don't want you to take it the wrong way. I'm not saying from a negative standpoint. I'm not a negative guy. But I am going to make sure that as our program, that we do everything right. And we grow every single day. And we challenge ourselves every single day. And we get uncomfortable. We get comfortable being uncomfortable and break out of great to get to that next phase. Little thing.
We'll be back on the other side to keep the conversation rolling.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We are moving well on the Tuscaloosa freeways and side streets. Right now, you're only having to deal with maneuvering around the construction zones. Greensboro Avenue southbound to 26th Street. That's long-term road work, and that's in the west area. Also moving on, Paul Bryant.
So you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The Venue, your new favorite Tuscaloosa hangout, food, music, and more. Come and taste what's new at The Venue, whether it's Liza's Sweet Shop, whether it's the all-day breakfast and burgers from Ramajama's, or the quality food that you can get at Finish Pub. Great atmosphere, great time, great people, great environment. That's The Venue. You can find them online at thevenuetuscaloosa.com, located off of Watermelon Road, just past Sokol Park. That's The Venue, Tuscaloosa's new favorite hangout. Make it yours.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show. Hey, let's go ahead and get Ronnie in so we make sure we get him in. Ronnie, you're in with Martin and Xavier, and then we'll circle back to that other conversation.
Thanks for taking my call, guys. Listen to you all the time. I just have a question. Since you played for Bama and all, early on in the season, they was running a lot of misdirections and motion on offense. Yep. I felt like that gave Jalen a chance to see how the defense reacted. Yep. And lately, it seemed like they just in a set formation. I just wanted your take on it.
Ronnie, there's so many things that I'm scratching my head over offensively since the Georgia game. We're not doing what you're talking about. And for those who don't understand what Ronnie's talking about, if you watch at the pro level, people think that the motion is always about getting guys in the right position. Well, watch how often a guy goes in motion and ends up right back where he started. Okay? All that's doing is helping the quarterback with pre-reads. Okay? So if a guy goes in motion and the guy goes across the field with him, then they know that at least there's some version of man. If they go in motion and the guy shifts, like let's say the slot guy, outside guy goes in motion, and when he goes in motion, all of a sudden the guy on him drops back, and then when he comes across to the other side, that corner comes up. Then you know that you have some version of either it's going to be a 3 deep, 4 deep, or a 2 deep, some version of zone, and the guy that backed off is trying to get in position so he can cover his half of the field. Well, that's a lot of great information for the quarterback. Well, we've stopped doing that, okay? We've also stopped doing deception, meaning that we're not using the read option anymore. You know when Jalen's running the ball, and you know when the running back's getting the ball. We've stopped using. We used Kendrick Law a couple times in the reverse and got the ball in his hand. I mean, we got the ball to him a couple times, but we're still not using that as much. I mean, and then when we do trick plays, we do them at the wrong time. We may be the worst gadget play team that's ever existed, Ronnie.
Right.
But you're right. We're not helping the quarterback. Then we call it straight dropbacks. Not only are we not giving them helping with the pre-read as much as we were before, we're now asking them to drop back and read a 3, 4, 5 progression play after play.
Yeah, I just feel like the defense can just tee off on them now with the style offense we're running, where in the past they couldn't do it because they didn't know what was coming. That was my take on it. So.
Great take, Ronnie. Thanks for listening up in South Carolina. I'm glad we won, at least for you, man. All right, X.
Yeah, but no, you played that clip of James Franklin, and I think that's so telling when you look at it from the aspect of it's the small things that take you to the next level, get you over that hump, make things sharper. Because if you take care of the little details, you'll take care of the big details. That's just kind of how life works. And it is not just in football, it's in everyday life, from how you run your home, how you go to work. But I think Alabama has to get back to that. And I don't have a problem with the things C.J. Dupree said, because if they're calling it out, you know, if he's saying it publicly, you know it's being called out and addressed.
Yeah, and I'm going to play just a little bit of that again, because this was twofold. It's the players doing it, and he said taking notes without the coach telling you to do it. But there's two things. The coaching staff and the leadership of this team has to demand it. And I don't think that we've given enough credence to – we really don't have guys who have won national titles leading this team. We have Malachi Moore, I think. Is he the only one?
Tim Smith.
And Tim Smith. The only two guys that have a ring, but this is the first group of seniors that's for you. Collectively, you have out of an 85-plus man roster and 100-plus guys on the field, they don't have a championship. So the coaching staff has to demand it. And I don't know if they are. I hope they are. And I think there's some resistance. But here, I love this, just this 30 seconds or so. Let's listen to this and respond, Ax.
That ain't happening. Because those little things that have slept by, it's 1 point last year, it's 1 point this year. It's not happening anymore. It's not happening anymore. You guys thought I was a psychopath in the past? You have no idea. And I don't want you to take it the wrong way. I'm not saying from a
You're saying it's not coming through?
It is now.
Oh, sorry.
Negative standpoint. I'm not a negative guy. But I am going to make sure that as our program, that we do everything right. And we grow every single day. And we challenge ourselves every single day. And we get uncomfortable. We get comfortable being uncomfortable and break out of great to get to that next phase.
Now, I know, X, that's not the Boers style, but is it about time to see him? Because that's not my style either. I'm your dad, so you've seen me address things aggressively without the whole, yelling. I can get there, but whatever it is, does his team need? And he may do this with the team. I don't know that, but I like what I saw in James Franklin saying it's not going to happen under my watch anymore. He admitted that he had dropped the ball, X.
Mm-hmm. And that's what kept we've talked about Penn State for years, being right there, right on the edge, right on the cusp of everything. They lose to Ohio State. They lose to Michigan. They beat everybody else. But he has a take of, we're going to do this a certain way, and once we do this a certain way, and I'm not going to let it slip from that standard, we will get over the hump. So I don't know what Coach DeBoer does behind closed doors, his personality, but I do believe that if he focuses, because you don't have to yell, you don't have to scream, but if you get these guys to do all the small things the right way, Alabama will be perfectly fine.
Yeah. Like I said, he doesn't. I don't need to. I saw some angst I heard a little bit of that in Coach Franklin's voice. I don't have to hear it in his voice. I want to see it in his actions, see it in his voice, but not necessarily witness it with my own eyes. I think, and what I mean by that is just get your players doing the little things. Let's see Bama go out. I'm not going to be on tomorrow, X, and the guys will have it. So I'll give you my score. I got Alabama right in the ship. I have the offense getting back right. I have them getting 38. I'm not going as high as I normally do, 38-17, Alabama, and the percentage gets back up to 70+%. So Roll Tide for Martin Houston. Join us tomorrow as we keep it coming and keep it going right here on your home for Alabama Sports Talk, 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC, and the Martin Houston Radio Network. Trust in the Lord always, and not your understanding. All your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide, everybody.